Very warm welcome to StudyIQ, my dear friends. I am Prashant Mavani. I hope you all are doing good. Today is 26th August 2020. Day is Wednesday. I would like to start today's discussion with this quote by Eleanor Roosevelt. With the new day comes new strength and new thoughts. Every single day on this earth is an opportunity for us to start something new, to start that dream project. So today is the day, today is the luckiest day because today is the day that we have, right? We don't know anything about tomorrow, whether we are going to see tomorrow or not, we are not sure. Yesterday is already gone, so leave the yesterday, forget about tomorrow. Today is the day, make the most out of it. With this, dear friends, StudyIQ team has designed a smart course. This smart course is for Civil Services Examination. It covers your pre as well as mains examination, and to find out more about it, all you have to do is download our mobile application. Till 31st August 2020, EMI offer is also available. Dear friends, today I would like to start our discussion with this editorial from Times of India. It's about hills. Hills give life. This one is about Ravali range. And then we are going to talk about Kerala. This article is also associated with our environment and our nature, and there are so many questions that we can ask about our so-called development or developmental projects or models. You can download the PDF of today's lecture from my Telegram channel. You can follow me on Facebook as well. Now, hills give life. It is about Ravali Hills. So first of all, let us locate where you find Ravali Hills. So here you can see this is Ravali range here, and you can see Indo-Gangetic plains. These are you find them basically here. It starts from Punjab and then parts of Haryana, parts of Uttar Pradesh, parts of Bihar. This whole region is made up of this Indo-Gangetic plains. Okay, these are some basic things. I'm sure you would be aware about these things. Here you can see Great Indian Desert, which is also known as Thar Desert. So this mountain range here, it acts like a big wall. It protects this plain region of Indo-Gangetic plain region from this desert winds and desert sand. And if you go through this reports on Delhi air pollution, then you will find that the biggest chunk of dust is coming from this Thar desert, and one of the main reason is we are literally degrading, we are chopping, we are destroying this natural wall that is Ravali range. Ravali hills have shaped the climate of upper Indo-Gangetic plains for thousands or hundreds of years. I can safely say thousands of years because Ravali range or Ravali hills are one of the oldest mountains in our country compared to Himalayan range, which is quite new geographically speaking. So it's no surprise that their rapid man-made degradation in recent decades is providing very consequential, pushing the spread of Indian desert towards eastern Rajasthan, Haryana and west Uttar Pradesh. When this dust of desert settles on your agricultural field, it degrades the quality of your agricultural land. Then this soil or this dust from this desert portion is destroying our other parts of natural environment like our rivers, and it is also adding more dust in the air, so it is adding more to air pollution in various different parts of Indo-Gangetic plains, and there are so many other things as well going on simultaneously that is adding more pollution. And the sad thing is that our country is naturally blessed with so many different things. If you see, we have this Himalayan ranges or Himalayan mountains covered up with snow around the year, but the snow is melting, rivers are adding more water, snow formation is quite slow compared to what it is losing, and you find some of the best quality water, natural water in these waters, but unfortunately because of our cities that we have developed on this river banks, we have destroyed these rivers as well. There are so many other things that we will talk when we will move to this second article that is about Kerala. Now, as far as protecting this Ravali mountains is concerned, we are not that serious, and there are so many warning signs available, but still governments are not doing, state governments are not doing enough, and I would blame central government as well. And this reminds me of 2018 decision of Supreme Court. Supreme Court was informed that one fourth, we are talking about 25, roughly speaking 25% of hills in Rajasthan were gone forever. Can you believe this thing? If I say a small piece of wood has gone or a tree has gone, then you can understand, you can digest this fact. But when I say that 25% or one fourth of hills in Rajasthan are gone forever, then that is a big thing. What you're doing is you are creating big holes, you are creating big gaps in this big wall of Ravali range, and this dust will bypass this, or it will find its way. It will act as a pass for this desert sand to enter into Indo-Gangetic plain, and then we will see destruction everywhere. In the name of construction, in the name of development, so many states are ignoring this whole destruction of mountain range, and this is gradually destroying our life as well, and that is a very sad thing. And this, I would say, is a real contempt of court, because in 2018 Supreme Court said very strictly that you need to protect this Ravali range and other environmental things that are located not just here but various different occasions. Supreme Court has said, or Supreme Court has ordered state governments as well as central government to do things that are necessary, but we find that local administration is acting like there is no Supreme Court. Local administration's mindset is that if you are not using these mountains, if you are not using these natural resources that are there on this mountain, then this mountain will go wasted. Recently, Punjab and Haryana High Court has already asked or has said to Haryana government that if your intention is that you are not going to protect it, then say so. Tell us. If you are not going to protect it, then we can know what we should do. But Haryana government, like any other government, they say that we will look into it, and then we find that they are not doing it, or they are doing nothing about it at all. So that's a very saddening thing, isn't it? Let's move on to next article. Before that, please make sure that you share this article with other students. Hit the like button if you have learned something from today's discussion, and please don't forget to subscribe to our StudyIQ Education YouTube channel. If you have already subscribed, then please ask 3 more students to hit the subscribe button. Now, living with the earth in Kerala. Natural disasters are becoming every year thing in Kerala. Last year, we saw floodings in Kerala. This year, landslides are taking place. Last year, 59 people lost their lives. This year, the figure has touched 65. And there are so many other people, right? A few persons are still missing. So, unfortunately, this figure will go up. It may touch it may touch 70 or more than that. I'm not sure about it. But this thing is becoming a regular thing every year. And this is, again, a very scary scenario. And on top, you can add this plane crash. Now, you would say that plane crash and landslides and floodings are altogether different thing. But remember, this plane crash took place on a tabletop runway. Tabletop runway looks something like this. So this is your, surrounding area, and this is your runway. So there is nothing that will stop this plane. So if your plane is not able to stop itself, then it will drop from this cliff. And then you will see destruction like we saw recently in Kerala. Something similar took place in 2010 as well. We'll talk about it as we'll move on. So this is a reminder that if we don't look after our natural environment, and if we follow this so-called developmental model, then we are going to see more hardship, we are going to see more floodings, landslides, and more plane crashes and many other things in our near as well as long-term future. The fact that Kerala has received wide acclaim for having achieved social indicators associated with high human development has meant that a crucial underlying dynamic has been ignored. We talk about Kerala when we say that Kerala has achieved good social indicators like education, health, and there are so many other things. then we never talk about the damage that this development has caused to natural capital, that is our earth, that is our natural environment. The rivers in Kerala are polluted, and this is not just about Kerala. You find most of the rivers of our country are polluted. We have, as I told you, finest rivers in the world. I still remember that a video that I made a few years ago for StudyIQ education channel, that it was about the Siang River. And during that research, I realized that Siang River was considered one of the purest water in the world. In top 5 rivers of the world, you find Siang River that becomes part of this Brahmaputra. But then the reason why that video was at that point of time, I think it was in 2018. The main reason was this river all of the sudden, in like a few days time, it became one of the most polluted water. And the reason was construction activities going on in upstream, that is in China, and then it was entering this whole cement and other pollutant things were left in this river, and then this river became one of the most polluted polluted river. And for one of the cleanest river turning into muddy river is a big thing, isn't it? So this is going on everywhere. Even in your city, in your village, you will find that plastic is everywhere, right? We find garbage in Kerala, in the valleys of Kerala, we find they are filled up with garbage. And hills are gorged, hills are destroyed, and hills are what do we say, the right word is are modified, and we create residential properties and hotels, and we find religious houses over there, and there are so many people visiting those places, and then you find garbage everywhere around those places. So this sort of destruction is going on. And the best thing about this article is that so far intelligentsia, those so-called intelligent people, has termed the development model of Kerala as a gold standard of development. And they have also missed this thing. They have missed this question, that what about natural capital? Achieving development on paper as well as in real life, that's a good thing. But when you compare it with the things that we have lost in this race of development, then we find that we have destroyed our planet Earth. And the way we treat our Earth matters, because it is directly related with our future and our security. Kerala's future is inextricably linked to how it conserves its natural capital. And politics plays a very important role here. I'm not talking about political parties, or it is not just limited with political parties. Here, politics means what we want from our government as citizens. Are we demanding, are we asking, or are we pushing our governments as well as political parties to look after our environment? In this race of winning elections again and again, political parties have identified this thing, that if people will have more money, if they will have more roads, if they have more airports, if they have more things, if they can consume more things, that will make them happy. And they are right as well. But we have forget to ask this question, that how long we will be happy with our big cars and big houses and big farmhouses, or you can say hill houses. How long we are going to enjoy it? For 10 years, 15 years, all of the sudden we will have big floodings and big landslides, and all our dreams, all our happiness will go. And then we will realize that nature is true, or nature is the only thing that will ensure our security. So it is us citizens, we have to decide what we want from our government. If we demand a balanced development in which we have reasonably good rate of development, as well as on the other side, if environment is protected, then they will deliver that thing. When I say they, I mean to say that your executives, your bureaucrats, your political parties, they will deliver those things. So depends on us. We cannot just blame them. They are just filling those gaps that are created by us, and the gaps that we are creating is we need more money, we need more of everything. So it is difficult to imagine that politics as usual, as defined by the two political fronts that have ruled Kerala for decades by now, will lead the state to a place where conservation of nature will guide our actions. Actually, the state of natural capital in the state reflects an absence of governance. And I was talking about this incident back in 2010, Mangaluru airport, which is again a tabletop airport. There was a big crash, and I think 150 plus people died in this accident. And a few days ago, we have talked about this thing that when you have this big tragedy in 10 years' time in a country, then that is considered a big thing. That is a big loophole in your safety protocols when it comes to your aircrafts and your flights. For centuries, people of Kerala have demonstrated a genuine or genius. They are considered genius for conserving natural resources by restraining their consumption. But now we don't find that thing, and that is a very scary part, because Kerala is located here. Let me show you where Kerala is, right? So you find Kerala over here, and this whole portion is Western Ghat portion. And Western Ghat is famous for tropical evergreen forests. It is biodiversity hotspot, right? You find a variety of trees, shrubs, plants, living creatures, mammals, birds, and so many other things, butterflies, and you find so many reptiles. New reptile species are discovered every year in this part of the world or in this part of our country. So if this Western Ghats are getting destroyed, then days are going to be very bleak for us in future. I have one question for you. Can you give me the name of the states which are part of Western Ghat? I want you guys to start with the northernmost state and then start your journey towards south. So give me the name of the northernmost state, then the other states. There are total 6. This is a hint for you. There are total 6 states that are part of this Western Ghats. Right, moving on to next article, and this one is interesting as well. This one is about ISIS. Now, recently in United Nations Security Council, the UN counterterrorism chief Vladimir Voronkov has said that ISIS is still present in West Asia, or it is expanding, or it is continuing its presence in West Asia, Africa, and other parts, and this is a serious warning. Of course, there was a time when ISIS was at its peak. It used to control huge amount of land or huge amount of region in Iraq and Syria. But they have lost this ground, but that does not mean that it is gone forever. It is still there. And what has happened is that thousands of these ISIS fighters, they have spread across different parts of the world. So many of them have returned to Belgium, to UK, to Germany, to France, and so many other European nations. Some of them are in parts of West Asia, some of them are in parts of North Africa and other parts of the world. So they are like sleeper cells. Whenever they will find an opportunity, they will strike. The terror outfit has a province in West Africa with nearly 3,000 fighters, according to latest United Nations report. In Afghanistan, we find that ISIS is striking or targeting ethnic as well as religious minorities. A few months ago, there was this report that one Gurudwara was attacked in Afghanistan. They have also started operating in cells, like sleeper cells, underground cells in deserts, mountains, and hinterlands of conflict-ridden countries like Iraq and Syria. In Syria, part of Syria is controlled by Bashar al-Assad's government. The other part is controlled by these jihadists and rebels who control this Idlib province. You have Kurdish rebels. They have declared their autonomy. So Syria, politically speaking, is not stable. And then you have this Syrian-Turkish border where Turkey rebels are controlling. They have created this buffer zone and they are in direct conflict with Kurdish people. So This sort of war or warlike situation is an opportunity for ISIS and terrorist organizations to resurrect themselves. In Iraq, you find USA versus Iran in Iraq, and this is an opportunity for ISIS as well, and they are making the most out of it. They are getting stronger in Libya, because in Libya you have two governments. They have been fighting with each other for a very long period of time, and this Libyan conflict has spilled over into countries like Mali, Burkina Faso, and Laos. So the world has to unite. Governments, they have to work together, and they have to find solutions for all these countries, all these countries that are in warlike situation. Because if we don't stop this warlike situation, then this will become a breeding ground for ISIS and other terrorist organizations like Al-Qaeda, and then you have Al-Shabaab, and then you have, there is one more famous in Nigeria, Boko Haram. That is quite famous and dreaded organization in this African country called Nigeria. Moving on to next item, magnets for manufacturing. Now, we all know that so many countries and so many companies of these countries, they want to shift their production center from China to other parts of the world. And there are so many competitors as well who are ready to attract all these companies like India. Then you have parts of, or many countries of ASEAN like Vietnam, Indonesia, Malaysia, Bangladesh is there. Sri Lanka is there. So many countries are ready to attract these companies, American, Japanese, South Korean companies who are trying to shift their base from China to other parts. Now, I'm not sure whether they are going to shift all their manufacturing units from China, but I think what they will do is they will keep one production line in China, and they will create one alternate production line in other countries. The reason why they are doing is because a few days ago, I think yesterday we were talking about this thing, that relying too much on China is also not good. Then Chinese dominance is something that many nations are worried about. And then you have US sanctions as well. So if you are producing something, if you are a Japanese company producing in China, then USA is going to apply sanctions on this product. So these are few reasons, three main reasons why countries are trying to relocate their, or companies are trying to relocate their plants to countries like India and other countries. Now, COVID-19 has provided us this opportunity to launch this big goal of self-reliant India. Now, the big question is, can India succeed in attracting manufacturing firms and jobs from China? For that, we have to compare ourselves with China. The reality is that we are far behind when we compare ourselves with Chinese manufacturing prowess. China ranks number 1 in contribution to world manufacturing output, whilst our rank is 6th. At present, manufacturing contributes 15% to our GDP. Our target is to increase it to 25% by 2022. Now the question is, can we do this thing in 2 years' time? It's very difficult. If not impossible, it's going to be very challenging, because we have so many weaknesses in our country. When China opened its economy back in 1978, it's been nearly 50 years now, isn't it? 52 years. So when China opened it, not 52 years, I think it's 42 years, right? 42 years, not 52 years. So when China opened its, hold on a second, am I making a mistake here? No, 30 and 20. So yes, 52 years, not, so 78 is 52, 1978 to 2020 is 80 and 200. Why I'm making so many mistakes in calculation. I'm never that weak. It's been 42 years, of course, now. So, okay. So it's been 4 decades since China opened its economy for the world, and since then, for a very long, nearly for 40 years, China has achieved a growth rate of double digit. Average of this 42 years is 10.68%. Our economy was opened for the world back in 1991. And our target was to achieve 12% growth rate, but our average growth rate from 1991 till now is somewhere around 7%. So here you can see our speed is not that fast. Then if you compare China with European Union, till now European Union used to have 28 countries. After Brexit it has 27 countries. So because we are talking about the past, you can see that this whole region, this 28 countries together, they used to be a largest exporter of manufactured goods in 2018, and it was followed by just one country, that is China. So after this whole European Union, China was number 2. And if you see our position in top 10 exporters, we are not part of this top 10 exporters group, because this top 10 exporters, they account for 83% of world manufacturing exports in 2018, and we are not part of it. So we are far behind of China. And then we have our own problems like infrastructure constraints, a disadvantageous tax policy environment, a non-conducive regulatory environment, high cost of industrial credit, poor quality of workforce, rigid labor laws, restrictive trade policies, low R&D expenditure, delays and constraints in land acquisition, the inability to attract large-scale foreign direct investment into the manufacturing sectors. So we need to repair all these things. Can we repair it? Yes, we can. For that, we need a close collaboration between central government and state governments. At present, we have these states: Maharashtra, Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Uttar Pradesh. These are our industrial states. These are our manufacturing hubs. But there are so many other states. They have huge amount of land available for manufacturing, but policies are not right. Environment is not right. Just imagine, on top of these states, if we can add all these states in manufacturing: Andhra Pradesh, Bihar, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, Rajasthan, Telangana, West Bengal, all these states have some sort of natural resources. They have this environment which we can exploit. When I say exploit, I'm talking it in a, or I'm saying it in a very positive sense, that we can utilize their strengths and we can create that environment where they can produce so many different things for so many different companies and countries. So what is the thing that we need to do? I like the suggestion by Union Minister, IT Minister, as well as Law Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad. When he was talking about promoting electronic manufacturing, he gave this idea of strategy group, in which we can have state governments, in which we can have central government officials, as well as we can add industry leaders. So we can create this triangle where you have central government, you have state governments, and then you have industry people, and together we can form policy or policies, and then we can create customized policies for various different states and various different industries, and how we can make the most out of it. And if we can achieve this thing, if we can achieve this consensus, if we can take on board states and industry leaders, then we can create those policies, and then we can see, we can get rid of all this, we can turn these weaknesses into our strengths, we can turn all those threats into opportunities, and then we can of course achieve double digit growth, and we can recover quickly, and there are so many things that we can achieve. But to compete with China, we have to do these things. A chance to donate desktops. Very interesting article. I'm going to be very brief here because it is very easy to understand. This one is from the Hindu newspaper. Now, we know that so many people are working from home these days because of this COVID-19 pandemic. So earlier on, these people, they used to work on their desktops that were given to them by their companies, right? In office, you find, generally speaking, people are using desktops like computers, proper computers. But more people are using laptops now. So is it a sign that desktops are going to die now? The answer is no. Companies are going to use desktops because they are faster, you can increase their capacity, and there are so many other things that you can do with desktops and you cannot do with your laptop. So they are not going to die, but one thing is there that if we just do a rough calculation, which is known as back of the envelope calculation, then we find that there are millions of desktops out of use now. So what we can do with it is we can donate it to schools, we can donate it to underprivileged children of our country, schools and children of our country. We can pass it to them, and you can utilize it, because we have this digital divide and we want to achieve this digital India dream in which our students can get education from digital channels and digital education. We want to promote it, and it is an effective way as well. I'm not saying everything should be digital, but what I'm saying is a touch of digital with your traditional education is definitely going to add more cutting edge to our education system. And it's not just desktops. We have tablets, iPhones, iPads, and smartphones, and so many other things. Now, a normal cycle or replacing cycle of desktop is 2 to 3 years. But when you see smartphones, then their replacing is done within a year. So their typical cycle time for replacing is shorter compared to desktops. So there are so many smartphones, tablets, we can recycle them, or not recycle, but we can refurbish them. Recycling is a different thing. We need to refurbish them. And just like our used car market, I'm not sure how many of you are aware about this fact, but in our country, used car market is is bigger than new car market, and same thing will happen with smart devices too. So if we can utilize this thing, if we can improve our corporate social responsibility, if companies are ready to donate this desktops or used devices, then government should facilitate it, and this will help. This will be a win-win situation for every one of us. Last article, but one of the most important article. This one is about how to reform Indian administrative service. Now, I'm sure, dear friends, you know some basic things about it, that every year we get some 180 new, bright, young, talented, educated people entering services. And it is, one of the most sought after service in our country. And, people are attracted towards it, not because of compensation package. You don't make that much money. Your salary is not that big compared to private sector, but you get power. You get this chance to make a difference in your society, in your country. And I think power as well as this chance to make a difference, these are the two most attractive things because of which we find so many bright, talented people, joining IAS. Now, we also know that not every single IAS is top of the range. Means when they join the service, they are good. After the training, they are good. But after a few years, we find that some of them, they will remain dedicated and they will stick with their mission to create a positive change in people's lives. But then we find few people, they convert into corrupt practices, and they come under pressure of ministers, and this whole environment as well is not that supportive. It's very difficult. It's more difficult. I'm not demotivating you. What I'm saying is this is the ground reality. You have to deal with so many people, so many responsibilities, and then you have your own requirements. You have to fulfill your family's dreams and so many other things, and then you have this working condition in which you will get pressure from ministers and so many other people, and there are power brokers who will try to influence you. And so we find after a few years, not everyone is doing the right thing. So what we can do about it? In this article is saying that there is one more point that I would like to add, and then we will talk about what we can do. See, one more thing is that once you join IAS services or any other government service, there is no competition, right? If you just stick with your daily schedule, even if you are not performing your duties, or even if you are not doing something extraordinary every day, then as well your job will stay with you. You will hold a very important position. You will get your salary. You may find some transfers, but that's okay. If someone is lazy and if that person does not want to do anything at all, then he or she can stay there in the service for nearly 30-35 years, isn't it? So this is a bad scenario, because if a person is not fit for that organization, like when you start in an organization, you are best, but after a few years, you would be not that good for that organization or for that system. So there should be one exit gate. And there is no competition from talented outsiders. So there is no drive for a person to perform well. It's only when person individually, if you are outstanding, then you'll find so many extraordinary IAS, IPS and other officers, or else they are just, they become part of the crowd. So here in this article, the writers are saying that what we can do is every 7 years, right? Once you join your service, once your training is over, then after your appointment, after 7 years, there should be an appraisal. So if you are fit, then you will continue. If you are not fit, then you will be given some exit options. And these exit options should be attractive as well. You cannot just say that get out now. What you have to do is you can provide them a scholarship for PhD, MBA or other professional programs. They can join Harvard or Chicago University or any other university. Or else you can provide them voluntary retirement option, which is always available. And you can also provide them 1 crore capital. This will not given in cash, but they can start their own startup if they want to quit service, because many a times you find so many officers, they find after a few years that they are not fit for this thing. And when they find that they are not fit, then there is a fear that if they will leave these services, then they have to start their life again, and they have to do everything from the scratch. And the best option at that point of time they will think of is to stick with the duty. Even if they are not happy with it, they will just stay there, because they know that no one will be able to kick them out if they are clean, if they are not doing anything. But if they are not they are not indulging in corruption or anything, then they can stay in the service forever, and that is bad for the system. So if we can create this environment when whenever they want to leave, they can leave. And if we can evaluate them every 7 years, and if you have a lateral entry option, not necessarily that you will become IAS by lateral entry, but you will be placed if you are good enough, if you have not cracked the UPSC exam, but if you have work experience and if you have that capabilities, that you can join government services at a good position, then you will attract so many talented people from outside. We have seen so many people as well. They have worked with like Arvind Pangaria, and there are other people as well. They were not IAS officers, but then because these are the examples of lateral entry, right? So they were experts in their field, and they were selected by government or chosen by government. So attractive exit option with every 7 years, if there is this appraisal system, and if you provide this thing, then we can have fresh lot coming into service or into administration every 7 years, and we will see unfit people exiting this system. And this way we can make, this is one of the way, I'm not saying this is the only way, but this is one of the way through which we can improve Indian administrative services. And in this field of corporate governance, this is known as golden parachutes. So if you want some people to leave the job, then you need to give them this golden parachute. You need to provide them attractive exit package so that they will leave, and they will create space for new talent to come in, and this way you will keep your system more fresh and more lively. So these are the articles in today's discussion or today's Hindu analysis, and then you have some news items. Of course, you can download the PDF and go through this thing. And the one news item that I want you to highlight here is World Health Organization has declared Africa as polio free. And that's everything from my side. Thank you very much for watching this video. God bless you all. Jai Hind.